Hey guys, and welcome to another WoW video, and for today's video I decided to do an Ashran guide video. I'm gonna try to make this as quick as I possibly can, but for those that are unfamiliar with this version of Ashran, which is when the PvP Brawl comes out, and also it was how it originally was. But if you're familiar with that, then you know there's a lot of stuff to do in Ashran, so this isn't really your everyday type battleground. For the most part, people consider it an honor farm. You know, it's really good for getting a lot of honor. So I thought we'd go over the basics. When it ends up being the PvP Brawl event, I see so many people confused in the chat, so I thought we would start the video off with the two most common questions I see people ask in the chat. The number one question is always, when does this battleground end? And the answer to that is never. When it is the PvP Brawl event, which only really occurs twice a year, it is a never-ending battle, which is why I use it. For those that know this channel well and have watched me stream some of my battlegrounds and stuff, you know that the major reason I'm in Ashran is for Nemesis. And this event is so good for that because it never ends, right? So if you've got a group of, say, Taurens and you're going after the Tauren one, they're, as long as they don't leave, you're good to go to get all your kills, right? So it is good for that. The more informative answer there is it never ends, but technically it ends when you want it to end. So if you've been in there for, say, 20 minutes and you've had enough, you can just leave. Now, the second question, which kind of follows right after that, is will you get Deserter? You will not get Deserter because it's a never-ending battle, so the system doesn't see it as having an ending, which makes it a non-deserter because there's technically no completion ever. Now, keep in mind that this is just during the PvP Brawl. If you are going in there when it's just a regular battleground, just on any specific day, you will get Deserter. It's only for this specific event. And when we talk about this event, don't think about the other one. The other one has an ending to it. Pretty much you kill the bosses and it's done, right? So this is completely different. And so with those two questions answered, let's get into it. So let's start by looking at this map that you see. The pathway that you see, those colored dots, that is the Road of Glory. The blue dot is the Alliance base, and the red dot is the Horde base. The green dots are your defense. The top one is Emberfall Tower, and the bottom one is Archmage Overwatch. These can have rare spawns, and you can get a buff, which can give you 10% extra HP damage and healing, and it can also increase to 20%. So all those times you see, say, a druid with like 90k health, yeah. And you can even see higher. Sometimes the health on some of the players can get pretty severe. Also, the offensive team will have Fortune Favors the Bold, which is 100% additional artifact fragments. The two pink dots that you see on there is, the top one is Volrath's Advance, and the bottom one is Trumblade's Vanguard. This will be your first line of defense, and then you will have the green ones as your next one. And the last dot that you see on there is the yellow one. Probably barely visible on this map. Yeah, I probably should have done something with that dot, but you should still be able to see it. And this is basically the neutral area, the crossroads. So that is your line. A lot of the time in the regular Ashran, you'll just see people fighting that simple path. But when the event rolls around, you're going to see a lot of other stuff going on. So let's get into that other stuff. So that map kind of gives you the basics. And now for the bonus events. Okay, so for the first bonus event that we're going to go over, this is the Ogre Fires, which is located at the Brute's Rise. Basically, there's 5 Ogre Fires, and when the event starts, they'll all be white. And basically, you just need to capture those fires for your faction. All you do is stand near it, and it will turn red or blue depending on what faction you are playing. And when they're captured, they'll grant you victory points, and once you have 1,500 points, you've won the event. Also, one additional thing for the Brute's Rise area here is that there are NPCs. They're called Captured Goravash Stone Shaper, and they will spawn in cages. So when you open the cage, it'll grant you a shield. The shield lasts for 20 minutes, and basically for every 5 seconds, it'll absorb like 20k health. And the shield can actually stack, so it'll stack up to around 110% for your max HP. The next event we're going to talk about here is the Rising Spirits, which is located over in the Ashmal Burial Grounds. This one is fairly easy. Basically, you'll go in and you don't want to fight the spirits that are there. You will have an extraction key that you use on the ghosts, and you need to capture 10 of them to win the event. Okay, so also in the Ashmal Burial Grounds, there is another type buff that you can get for this event as well, and that is the web-wrapped soldiers. So if you see one of them, just free them and they will spawn a priest, and that priest follows you around and assists you in damage and healing. And this mob will last 30 minutes unless it gets killed. If it gets killed, you lose it, but if it stays alive, you have it for 30 minutes. Okay, so the next event is the Stadium Racing, which is over at the amphitheater. This one, basically, both factions will get a cleft hoof, and it's a race. The more people that are near it, the faster it goes, so its speed will be increased like 30% per member that's, in 15 yards of it. And how you win this one is you just need to be the first faction to have your cleft hoof do 3 laps. Okay, so for this one, there's also a buff you can get in this area as well. So it is the Slippery Slime. So the buff you get is it basically says periodically causes you to become slippery. The buff will last 20 minutes, and every 10 seconds roughly you'll get a high boost of speed for a few seconds. This can occur while mounted, and I haven't tested it myself, but I have heard that if you combine it with the Leaping Gorger residue buff, then you're pretty much unstoppable. People will have a really tough time being able to keep up with you. Okay, so next up we have the Ashran excavation. This one, you will see the cave entrance to it near the Alliance gates. This one is really easy. These ghostly guys that you see in front of me, you're just gonna kill them. You get Apexis Marks of Redemption. It has them mark you with a movement speed, and that can stack up to 10 times. And all you do is you will go to Rukmaz and you just turn your marks in. So pretty simple. You're just fighting your way through, and you just keep following the path, fight along the path, and Rukmaz will appear soon for you. So the first faction that has 30 marks wins this one. The next event that we're going to go over is the Empowered Ore. This is over at the Molten Quarry. And this one is fairly simple. You're just gonna fight in the area. When you see the ore spawn, you are gonna pick up the ore and run it over to your area. There'll be carts, so you just run it to the carts that you see. And the first faction to deliver 10 of them wins the event. Also, one thing I'd like to add with this event is that there is a Leaping Gorger residue that you can get, which makes your jumps a lot more. It's handy if you're, say, trying to get away from someone, and it will send you high up to areas that people typically can't get to. You'll see some Leaping Gorgers in the area. You're just gonna right-click them, and that's how you get the residue buff. And the buff will last 20 minutes. Okay, so over here is the Ring of Conquest area. In chat, you'll always see it abbreviated, so if you hear someone say rock, that's what they're referring to. These fires you see me passing by, they are also buffs. A lot of people don't actually know about this buff, but this fire buff is good for regeneration. So if you're playing, like a rogue would be a prime example. And it will speed up the rate that you regenerate at. One big reason to take this path is for the items you can get. So at the end of all this, you can get some of the special items. So the items you can get from these is, there's the Scroll of Speed. That gives you a sprint. The Scroll of Replenishment will restore 30% mana to nearby allies. The Scroll of Protection gives you a 60% mitigation. And the Scroll of Mass Invisibility gives you, AoE invisibility, but it doesn't work in combat. Also, there's the Scroll of Town Portal, which is nice. You can use it to get back to your faction's keep. The wands, there's 5 wands that you can get. So there's Wand of Neutralization, which is like a super mass dispel, basically. And the Mana Stealing is pretty much a mana burn, more or less a healer item. And the Lightning Shield is a damage pulse you put on an enemy. It can actually be cast on a leader, so like a faction leader or faction guardian. The Arcane Imprisonment will trap an enemy within 15 yards. And the Wand of Death will kill a NPC nearby. And then there's 3 other ones worth noting as well. The Frostworm Egg, it summons a Frostworm that is pretty dangerous. I've gotten caught in that one a few times. And basically it will go down the path of the Road of Glory, and it freezes everyone in sight for 8 seconds. And then there's also the Scroll of Invoke Yulon. And that will summon Yulon to fly down the Road of Glory and heal all the players. And then the last one worth noting is Nessingwary's Lost Horn, which summons Kroshik. This one is another Road of Glory one, and he'll rush down the Road of Glory, he'll knock enemies, he can be a pain. He will knock you high up in the air. As a druid, I always spam heal myself when I'm in the air, because when I drop down, I am at least half health. He does quite the knockback for sure. And it's not just a knockback, it's more a knock up. So definitely, if you see him charging, get out of the way. And then, of course, the final big reason to do this event is the artifact fragments. You can see on my screen that I have quite a bit of fragments. This area is really good for that. Once you're done this area, your first thing you want to go do is hand in your fragments. And on the topic of fragments, this is something I totally would have missed if I wasn't talking about fragments right now. But you never want to have too many on you, because if you die, the person that kills you gains some of your fragments. So I like to hand in pretty much whenever I can. Now, since we are talking about items here and all that, I did take some footage of two buffs that I like to go after. They are both in the Darkwoods section of the map. Head over there. There will be a Songflower. I like to grab these. Basically what it does is it gives you 15% increase to all your stats for a whole hour, and it persists through death. So it is a really good one to get, and you can loot lots of them. And in that same area, you will also see Starroot Tubers. So this one will restore a bit of your health, nothing major, but a tiny amount. And it does reduce damage taken by 40% for 10 seconds. Another thing is Skillbooks. Unfortunately, I honestly didn't really feel like hopping on every class to get footage of every skill book. So I'm just going to tell you what they are. So Death Knights will get the Sigil of Death Grip. So basically your Death Grip has an additional 1 cooldown charge. And Druids will get 2 books. One is the Book of Rebirth. It's an instant cast. And the Book of Flight Form allows you to fly around Ashran. Both of them last for an hour. The Hunters have 2 books. So one is Disengage. It will put their cooldown to half. And then the other one is Rogue Tracking. So it allows you to see the rogues on your mini-map. Mage has 1 book that they can get, which is for Blink. So it makes the cooldown half of its normal. Monks have 1 book. It is called the Scroll of Touch of Fatality. And it extends your Touch of Death to 20% range for players. And it allows you to one-shot any NPC. Paladins have the Jailer's Librum. So if you ever get sent to jail, unfortunately, I have not been sent to jail in Ashran in, no joke, at least 2 years. So getting footage for this was impossible. It just hasn't been happening. And it's probably, a big part of that is that only paladins can do it, right? So I just haven't had a paladin, get mad at me, I guess. So that is what the paladin can do. And when you get sent to jail, you can easily get out. So don't walk out, because guards can be pretty tough. There'll be a Scroll of Town Portal that's on the ground, and you can use that to escape the jail. Priests have one book. It's called Codex of Ascension, and it's an ability that it teaches you. Ascends into the air, keeping you out of harm's way, lasts 20 seconds. The rogue has the best ones, in my opinion. I think the rogue's books are by far the best ones. Although the paladin sending it in jail is pretty good. But the reason I like the rogues is because one is a pickpocket. And what it does is it allows your pickpocket ability to be used against enemy players, and in turn you get artifact fragments from them. So you'll actually steal 5 artifact fragments. And then the other book they have is Vanish. When you kill a player, the cooldown of your Vanish is instantly reset. Shamans will get one book. It's the Tablet of Ghost Wolf. And it turns your Ghost Wolf into an instant cast epic mount, and has a short duration of invisibility. The Warlock gets one book, Grimoire of Convert Demon, and it will allow you to enslave any monster in Ashran. And our final one is the Warrior. They get Manual of Heroic Leap. So your Heroic Leap will now have 2 additional charges, and that lasts for 1 hour. And I was going to omit this next comment, but I figured I would add it in just in case someone watching this video is very, very new and doesn't realize that Demon Hunters came out afterwards. So Demon Hunters have no book. So if you're listening, hoping to hear what the Demon Hunter book is, they came after WoD. So because of that, they have no achievements or anything out in this area, no specific books, nothing specific to them. Now, for spending your artifact fragments, I feel like this is a very important one, so we shouldn't leave it out of the video. So as Alliance, you have Fangirl in your base, and as Horde, you have Cronus. So Fangirl will summon treants from your corpse if you die. And these treants will fight alongside for roughly 20 seconds. And also, he does a green circle. Basically, if you stand in it, you will be rooted, and it does deal quite a bit of damage. And yeah, as a healer, you want to keep him healed up so he can last as long as possible, obviously. And then for Horde, we have Cronus. And this guy does a extreme amount of damage. He can throw you up in the air, which can make you lose a good amount of health. And also, one thing that I had no idea about until way later in the game is that the longer he stays alive, the less damage he takes. So that was interesting when I found that one out. And another one I feel that gets overlooked a lot of the time is the mage portals in the Warlock gateways. The mage portal will be around the crossroads, and it can allow you to take it back to your base. Unfortunately, it's just one way, so you're not going to be able to get back to that portal, but you will get to your base fairly quickly. And then the Warlock gateway connects an instant teleport. It's over by the amphitheater area. Personally, I prefer to just have the mage portal access. I find with the Warlock gateway, I am just better off running to where I need to go. Okay, and of course we have Volrath, which is obviously the Horde faction leader. And in the normal matches, you will defeat him to win the game. So basically, you want to be pretty ready when the time comes that you're going after Volrath. Things can get pretty bad over here because you are in the Horde base. So, but yeah, fight him to win. When it's not the PvP brawl, this is how the match would end, would be off this kill. You still kind of technically win if you kill him in the PvP brawl, but it's never ending, so it's not going to end the match. And while you're in this area, you could easily do rescue operations. All 3 of the cages are right outside of this area. And then, of course, the guards are out there for the keys, so it's a good time if the Horde hasn't come after your ass. Usually, by the time the kill happens, they are right there. Depends how your group is. If you have a really good organized group, you can do pretty good. And that basically covers Ashran, so I feel like I got everything in here. So this, you know, as far as I'm concerned, this is a full guide. But if any of you guys have noticed maybe something that I missed, feel free to put it in the comments, but I feel like I got it all. I love Ashran. I'm one of the very few. All I ever hear is people bitching about this Battleground. I don't know anyone that actually likes Ashran, but I have always loved it. It is one of 2 of my favorite battlegrounds. My all-time favorite battleground is Temple of Hot Mogu. I love that place. But Ashran comes in second. Honestly, I'm kind of amazed it comes in second because I have done so much Ashran. You know, that's why I felt like I could put out a guide for you guys, because I am literally in Ashran all the time. You know, if I'm in a battleground, a lot of the time it's this one. And the biggest reason is because of my Nemesis achievements. I'll show them on screen here. And yeah, the Nemesis, not easy. That Goblin one, I took that one 2 years before the date that you see it completed on. Yeah, I was holding on to that quest for 2 years, gradually getting some goblin kills. There are not a lot of goblin players in the game, just gonna say. At least not many that go in Ashran. Maybe they're all PvE, I don't know. But yeah, goblins and pandas are they're the worst for the Nemesis. Everything else isn't too bad. However, I've been kind of surprised at how long Tauren has been taking me to do. That's the one I'm currently working on, and I'm almost halfway done it. But goblins definitely took a long time, and pandas will be similar to goblins for sure. That's why I took the goblin one first, honestly. I figured, I'm just starting anyway, so, you know, I took it first. I didn't think it was going to take me 2 years to complete, but, you know, the Nemesis, they're tougher to do nowadays. That's why I want to take advantage of these PvP brawls, because people don't group for Nemesis anymore. Back in WoD they did, and I'm kicking myself in the ass for not focusing it in WoD. I should have. You know, I would have had it done so much quicker. But the key to Nemesis, for those that don't know, is that if you have people in your group, not just raid group, but in your actual party group, they will multiply, so you'll get more kills off of it. That Blood Elf one, that was like the very next one. I knew Blood Elves was going to be like the easiest, because Blood Elves are like majority of the Horde, right? So that was kind of like my chill mode achievement. And then pandas I'm going to do last. So I wanted to save the 2 hardest ones for first and last. And yeah, I didn't want to have to do like 2 really tough ones back to back. So my plan is to get the rest out of the way, and then I'm gonna work on the pandas last. So with any luck, I'm hoping to be on pandas the next time this event rolls back around. But that honestly depends on how my groups are for those regular modes, because, you know, like I've said many times, this one is good for this because you can just stay in and take advantage of a lot of whatever you need being in the group for a while. Also, for those that are interested in the Nemesis and all that, it has to do with your garrison. You know, the WoD garrison, I actually loved in WoD. I am very much the oddball of this game when it comes to the WoD expansion. I had a lot of fun in the garrison. I still hang out there regularly. And I do a lot of Ashran, and, you know, I'll admit in the beginning, you know, I wasn't too fond of it, but, you know, I've grown into it, yeah. But I really like it because of its style, honestly. I'll admit I was a little upset when, well, for starters, they had removed it. And I was like, oh, how's this gonna work, you know? There's achievements out there, like, and I had a feeling they would bring it back because they removed Ashran, but they never removed the achievements. So I was like, okay, what's going on here? The achievements are still on my list. So I was pretty sure they were bringing it back. And then when they did, it ended up being what it is, right? Like, this, what you see, this is the real Ashran. This is the version I loved. The version that's the normal one now, where you just kill the leader and it's done. Yeah, I am not fond of that version. Like, you know, it's an okay version, I guess. But I liked the Ashran, you know, the event that you see in this video, because you could just choose how long to stay in it. That was the glory of it. That is number one what I loved with the Ashran event, was that if I just wanted to farm some honor points one night, I could just put myself in Ashran for a few hours, do my shit, and then walk out, you know? And it was nice for when you had good groups, because it sucks to have a good group and then the match ends and your group's gone, you know? So that part's really nice with it. Anyway, that concludes the video. I tried to make it as short as possible, but it looks like we hit the 30-minute mark, but it is jam-packed of info, so I hope this gave you better insight on Ashran, on how to do Ashran, and the important factors in it. And I just hope your Ashran runs go better now, and you've learned something today. And we will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.